All right, everyone, we are back for episode 7 of Stub Love Live. And I am happy because we have Doug Veliky as our special guest tonight. Doug is beer aficionado on IG, and he is a super cool ticket collector. He also has just a tremendous presence on Instagram through get them on and let's start talking. There he is.
Hi.
Who you got there? You got a partner in crime there?
Yeah, my buddy wanted to say hi, at the beginning, if you don't mind, and show off his kind of first ticket collectible that he got for Christmas, and then he's gonna head off to bed.
He's got to tell us his name first, and he's got to introduce himself first.
My name is Edine.
His name's Eddie.
Nice to meet you.
And show him what you got.
What do you got?
Jordan Trump ticket.
Wow, I like it.
Can you do
That's
it?
a pretty cool one. Yeah, there you go. See, everyone knows the Jordan Shrug. That's a great ticket, Dean. So great for you.
Yeah, see, I didn't grow up in Chicago, but he did, so he's adopted the Bulls, and of course, I'm happy to endorse that.
Really good. Thank
Right,
you, buddy. I
bye.
appreciate that.
Bye, Howard.
Nice to meet you. Hope to see you again.
I will. Bye.
Don't trip. All right.
So I think it's pretty hard to have a guy who has the IG name of Beer Aficionado on my show without opening a beer myself.
Oh my gosh.
So,
Can I run and grab one?
well, don't run and grab one, Doug, because I should have told you that, but I don't really drink a lot, but I'm going to have one tonight.
All right.
Because we got Beer Aficionado on. So talk to us a little bit. I'll say this. I met Doug as part of our trip to the National last year in Chicago, and Doug hosted our ticket meetup at Revolution Brewery. And I have to say, I really think it was the highlight for most of us ticket collectors. It was the highlight of the National. So again, I don't think anyone has really talked to you publicly since then, but thank you so much. And it was just a terrific experience. Doug catered it. He brought in pizza. We had wristbands. We had name tags. I mean, I don't remember. We had a lot of stuff. It was really cool. So tell us a little bit about Revolution Brewery and what you do for them, and tell us a little bit about the whole beer aficionado thing, and then we'll jump into tickets.
Sure. So I'm like an accountant by trade, but found my way into the beer industry on the distribution side. Worked there for 8 years, then got the bug for craft beer when it started to boom here in Chicago, like early in the 2010s, and wanted to figure out a way to work at a craft brewery. So I started Instagramming about it, blogging about it. That led to a job in the beer industry, and it's at Revolution. So we're the largest independently owned craft brewery in Illinois. So we're kind of the big guys locally, but compared to a lot of big like California breweries, we're not that big, but around here, we're considered kind of the big craft brewery in town. So throughout my time there, I was the CFO, and then during COVID, anything was possible. And I had always been doing these kind of marketing related things around beer and always helped out at the brewery with marketing related things. So an opening came up, and it was COVID and wild and crazy. And our owner said, "Do you want to just switch and do this instead?" And I was like, yes. And he doesn't care that I do all this Instagramming and talking about the industry, teaching. So I try to create content every day on the side. It's just kind of my own thing outside of the brewery, where I'm trying to teach people how it all works, how the sauce is made, and also being willing to laugh about it too. So it's almost a mix of being a meme account and an educational account, and kind of finding a balance between the two.
I follow you, and some of your content is just terrific. I mean, it's ingenious and clever and all of those good things. We talked a little bit last night. I didn't know too much other than I knew you were, for tickets, you were Pittsburgh centric, Pittsburgh focused. I didn't really know too much more about your collecting habits, but the interesting thing in talking to you last night, and maybe you can tell us a little bit more about it, you actually started ticket collecting really kind of like in high school, right?
Yeah, so growing up, I was lucky to have chances to go to like one or two Steeler games a year, one or two Penguins. I mentioned them over the Pirates, not because of the success of the team, but because they were really good at the artwork on the team and really featuring the logo of the opponent. So when I would get those as a 10-year-old, 12-year-old, I was just so fascinated by how cool they looked, and they were my like keepsake of the kind of evidence that I went to that game. So it turned into just, of course, just collecting the tickets I went to. But then in the late 90s, I had at one point, like I think when I was 6, my aunt got me a Phoenix Cardinals at the time T-shirt, and I just liked the logo, and I was like, okay, I like the Cardinals now too. So they were like my adopted lovable losers team. And then in the late 90s, they actually got good with Jake Plummer and Pat Tillman. So that was when eBay was first starting out and became a thing. And I was like a little entrepreneur kid, like flipping Nintendo games and stuff like that, going to flea markets. And so I learned eBay like right when it started. And when the Cardinals made the playoffs in 1998 and actually had a win, there were all these exciting games down the stretch. They won their last 3 all on last second kicks. And I just had it in my head, like, I want a program from that game and a ticket stub. And so that was, I think, end of 98 and beginning of 99. Even back then, you could go on eBay and there were people that would sell those. And the beauty is back then, it only cost like $5.
Right.
I think I had to mail them a money order. I don't think PayPal was quite that sophisticated yet. It might have existed. But so I have these tickets now. Like 2 of my earliest tickets are ones that I got in 1999, which is the game where the Cardinals clinched their first playoff spot in like 18
Wow.
years. And then they upset the Cowboys. So this also happens to be Pat Tillman's first playoff win, Jake Plummer's first playoff win as well.
It's really cool.
So just to show those off, that's kind of how I got started in this whole thing back then. There was, of course, huge breaks in between them where I wasn't thinking about ticket stubs other than just saving the ones of the games I went to. I wasn't, I should have been, but I wasn't buying them up on eBay all the time. And then it was really like a kind of rebirth during COVID, where I discovered everything I had. I had saved a lot of things and found a lot of pretty amazing games that I went to.
That's really cool. It's funny. I was a season ticket holder. My family and I were to the first year of the Miami Heat. And then we had tickets thereafter. So we got to see Jordan come to town. But I kept a lot of the tickets, like their first win, their first this, their first that. First game they had against the Bulls and the Lakers. I just never kept them. I kept them for a while, but never made it, kind of through moves and things like that. And it really kind of bothers me because I took the time like you did to at least put them in an envelope or something like that. And I have nothing to show for it. At least you have something to show for it. So that's kind of cool.
Have you gone back and tried to track any of those down, or does it not mean as much to you with it not being your individual ticket?
Yeah, it does. I mean, it definitely means something to me. I haven't been lucky enough to kind of find them, and I'm not really a Heat fan. I really just loved basketball as a kid, so my family was gracious enough to say, hey, we're going to go ahead and get season tickets so you can go down there and watch all the teams. But I wasn't really a Heat fan, so maybe that's kind of part of it. So Doug, you're a huge Pittsburgh ticket collector. You have got a bunch of really cool Pittsburgh tickets. In fact, one that I think is like maybe the coolest Pittsburgh ticket around. So talk a little bit about that with us.
Yeah, just to be clear, my Pittsburgh collection is probably beaten by quite a few people out there because I'm pretty new to it, but I do have some cool gems. The best would be this one here, this was the first Penguin game I went to. December 31st, 1988, happened to be the first game my dad ever got tickets to and took me. And this is the game where Mario Lemieux scored 5 goals 5 ways. So for anyone not familiar, power play, even strength, shorthanded, empty net. and a penalty shot all in the same game.
But before you
yeah.
put that down, not only is that like a mega super cool Mario Lemieux Penguins ticket, and any, I think, hockey collector would want it because no one's ever done it other than Lemieux. Am I correct?
Yeah.
But
correct.
how cool is it that you went to the game and that's your ticket?
That's why I had to find this. And if I can have 1 minute to tell the quick story, because this is also, I think, good advice for anybody in ticket collecting, especially somebody newer. I'd struck out for years trying to find this. And the way I found it was at the National. Instead of looking for this ticket, I started just looking for people with Penguin stuff. And then when I would find someone that had any kind of semblance of a section of Pittsburgh items, I would just start chatting them up. And then if I got the sense that they were a Penguins season ticket holder or had Penguins collectibles, I'd chat them up. And that's what happened here. And I ended up talking to a guy, and he was like, I think I have that ticket. Wow. He wasn't a ticket collector in any way. He had all like jerseys and stuff. And we ended up exchanging numbers, talked for months and months and months. He eventually found it in a box. He had saved all his programs, and he would buy a program at every game, stick the ticket right in it. So all his tickets were like primo mint, and he collects other things, just didn't care about tickets. And I made him a home run of an offer because I did not want to lose this guy. So I didn't lowball him in any way. I gave him like the highest number I could imagine myself paying, and I hit him with it. And he was like, oh, okay, I'm going to go back and find that ticket. And I ended up waiting till I went home to visit my family. My parents are still in Pittsburgh, went up and met with him and had a great time. He showed me his collection and sold me the ticket. So that's what I got here. Then I sent it into PSA, got graded, got a 4. So it's the highest grade of the ticket. There's only like 3 of these, I think, out there. So this is definitely one of my prizes, I would say.
I would say this, Doug. First of all, the hunt is what gets us all. And, when you find someone, it really is. People are saying, great story, amazing story. And it really is, because the hunt is everything to ticket collectors. And if you can kind of find, that Grail ticket that means so much to you, you've got to make the most of the opportunity. So, I know just like you, Doug, there's been times where I've had an opportunity to get something and I'm like, I really got to make an offer here that's going to impress somebody such that they just say, yes, I'm never going to say no, and I'm never going to lose the chance. So
can I tell you 2 more quick things about this meetup, just because this is a great story. So this could be a half-hour show of this meetup with this guy, but I'll keep this quick. First thing when I arrived, he says, will you do me a favor? And I said, what's that? He goes, I have it teed up on my computer. Will you sit down with me? I have it pulled up on YouTube. And do you want to watch the 5 goals, watch the highlights of the game? And I was like, sure. And then it turns out the reason he wanted to show me that, because it was like the 4th goal, I think. He zoomed in and he was like, see right there? He's like, that's me and my daughter. And,
wow.
And he was, because it's a front row ticket too. So he showed me him. It's of course 80s quality, so it's very grainy, but there was like a close-up of him like on the glass like this. And he also had Mario Lemieux's rookie contract hanging on his wall, among 1,000 other things he showed me that were amazing. He had Mario Lemieux's original rookie contract, and it was like, you can't see this picture back here, but I was gonna say it was the length of like probably 40 feet long. It was like one of those mirrors that you would put in terms of the length of it.
That's really cool.
It was the original contract. So
well, I have a lot of people here commenting that they want that ticket. So I don't think it's for sale, guys. I don't think you really have to give Doug something pretty amazing to pry that out of his hands.
That's a tough,
because that's
tough one.
That's a stunner. I think you told me like your biggest want for a Pittsburgh ticket is a Roberto Clemente 3000 hit ticket. Yes?
So not exactly. My big collection, the set that I'm trying to make, that I don't know if anybody's ever tried to assemble this before, is the championship-clinching ticket for all 3 Pittsburgh teams. And I'm a decent ways there, but there's some really tough ones out there. I do have one of my favorite tickets as far as like the story behind the game is the 1925 World Series clincher, Game 7. All 5 Pirates World Series were all went to Game 7, which is kind of cool. But 1909 Game 7, that's going to cost what a car.
Yeah.
I think a car costs, maybe
Yeah.
like a mid-size SUV. So that's technically my grail, but that's not realistic. Like if that came up for auction, I'd probably be on the sidelines watching, but probably not bidding. So that's like technically my grail. But the one that's like achievable that I cannot find is the first Penguins Cup, 1991 at Minnesota. I know someone in the Boogers group who has one, but he is the only one that's a box office one, and I love having the other team's logo on it. And every other graded copy has the Minnesota North Stars logo on it. And so I'm really holding out and trying to find one of those ones one day. So that's kind of my like achievable grail right now is the 91 Game 6 Cup clincher Penguins at Minnesota North Stars.
Y'all hear that out there? Y'all got
Please.
that? Find that for beer aficionado. He needs it. We also talked a little bit too, and I think it was pretty cool. And kind of in follow up to that, I actually went on HBO Max and I watched that Jeremy Lin piece because I hadn't seen it before, 38 in the Garden. And if anyone is watching and you haven't seen it, it is terrific. It talks a little bit about Linsanity and Jeremy Lin and Jeremy Lin versus the Lakers in the Garden where he scores 38 on Kobe. And it is just really a terrific short documentary. But talk a little bit about how you went ahead and bought season tickets. And I don't want to spoil it. I mean, you're crazy for doing this, but talk about it. Talk about your ticket foray into chasing LeBron James.
Sure. So I mentioned as like a high school kid, I was the mini entrepreneur, always like caddying at golf courses, trying to find boxes of Nintendo games to buy and sell on eBay. I loved all that stuff. Went to college, a lot of time passed. And then when it became known that LeBron was most likely going to leave the Cavs, I was probably, how old was I then? 26 or so. Had no responsibilities. So I was like, I'm going to buy season tickets to the teams that I think LeBron might go to, but I'm going to do it a year ahead of him leaving because everybody's going to be thinking the same thing if you wait till the summer that he actually leaves. So I tried to get ahead. And so I bought cheap, like the highest, like I could get front row of the cheapest section right at midcourt because just nobody wanted those seats for the Bulls, Celtics, and Knicks. As a kid, since we didn't have a basketball team in Pittsburgh, I just loved the Knicks, all the 90s matchups, all those Reggie Miller games are favorites of mine. And so the Knicks were the one I clung to the most. And in terms of like rooting for one of these teams, once LeBron didn't go to, of course, any of the teams I picked, I stuck with them anyway. And all those teams got better. They didn't get LeBron James good, but they got better. So having the tickets was still an asset because I was able to get front row of the cheapest section. So it was just it was like the most affordable, good ticket you could get. So I was able to like buy and sell these on StubHub, hook up friends. A lot of my friends live all over the place. So I was able to help people out. And it just became at least a break even to have these, maybe even make a little bit of money. But I always just used the PDFs. So as a result, I had all these books. And being a ticket collector from 10 years prior, I, of course, like guarded these with my life, kept them in like plastic container bins, and they were in good shape. So fast forward to 2020, 2021, when collectibles went nuts, I was like, just kind of for the first time looked into like, is there a subculture behind ticket collecting? Had never heard of boogers or anything like that. And sure enough, there were Instagram accounts of people showing off their tickets. There were Facebook groups. And so that's like kind of the point where I plugged in, and then I started doing all my research, realized I had 4 Giannis debuts, and then I had 2 Jimmy Butler debuts from the Bulls side. There's all these famous LeBron games against the Celtics in the playoffs. There's an Eastern Conference Finals Game 6 that's considered one of LeBron's top 5 or so games. I don't know. So I had a bunch of these all of a sudden, and I didn't really care about any of them. But now I at least had the trade bait to have fun and do what I love to do, which is wheel and deal, trade. I don't love to sell to make money. I love to sell so that I can then just more easily buy an overpriced thing that I know I'm going to have to overpay for. So I think to have like ammunition inventory. Yeah. So my office kind of looks like I'm some ticket broker, but I'm really not. I just have all these books that I've acquired, and I had friends that did this, and they hooked me up with their books. So I have all these random team books. now, and a lot of these I've sent off to PSA, the really good ones, and that just helps makes it easier to make deals and stuff. So,
Do you have any of the books there? Any of those Giannis's that you can
yeah,
show? I think it's funny. I don't know that many people have seen like the ticket books, the season ticket books. If you're not a season ticket collector or a season ticket holder, you wouldn't know what they look like.
yeah, these are the two Giannis 10s that I have. Last
Wow.
time I checked, maybe a few months ago, I think there was like 13 of these. So it's not like the rarest thing in the world, but I think there's 13 10s. There's tons of these that are graded. But just the fact that I had them still in the books, and the ones that were on the edge of the book, of course, got dented corners and could never get a 10, but the ones that were on the inside could. Um, but I have one of these bins full of ticket books. I'll show you a few. Like,
Wow.
here's Nick's 13, 14. And I've posted things out there before of like, hey, if anyone's looking for like a random ticket because it was your kid's first game or it's on your birthday, let me know. And some people have asked for a game that's, I know it's not worth anything, and I'm just like, give me your address and I'll just put it in the mail. It's just easier. Pay it forward.
Right. Yeah.
Someone needs something from you that's not worth much, just give it to them, and
Yeah.
I'll give you these. So it's really like the 09 to 14 era of Knicks before I eventually got sick of dealing with these and bowed out. And same with the Bulls and Celtics around there. So,
And so you also got some of those Linsanity tickets and things like that along with it as well.
yeah, that's my favorite part of owning tickets during that era, because that was like oh my gosh, this is like, what a story. And to me, I might be getting ahead of a question you might want to ask me later, but like, I think that is the most overrated ticket, is the whole Linsanity run from the day he came off the bench to just the run of games. This a ticket I'm looking for is this game in Toronto where he hit this step back last second 3-pointer, which is all the confidence in the world. He was just oozing it and just drilled it right at the buzzer, and then just like walked off the court like, I can't believe this is really happening. Just to see how this guy's life changed, and the documentary, like you said, explains it so well. To follow how he was like sleeping on a family member's couch, all of a sudden getting into a game, putting up 25 points, starting the next game, and then just had this like unthinkable run, which led to the 38 in the Garden moment, which, it's hard to even say which is a cooler ticket. I know which one is worth more, but I think they're equally as cool. There's the game where Linsanity started. I like that one the best, but 38 in the Garden is probably worth more because of the Kobe tie-in, where Kobe showed up at this game and he had been on a crazy road trip.
Right.
And all of a sudden, there's this clip of all these microphones and recorders in his face in the locker room before the game with all these questions like, what do you think about Jeremy Lin? What do you think about Linsanity? He had no idea what they were talking about. And he wasn't being like rude to Jeremy Lin. He just had no idea what they were talking about. And he literally says that on tape. So it's just like this famous clip. And then Lin goes out, beats the Lakers, puts up 38 on Kobe. Kobe actually gets his 10,000th field goal. So he has like a milestone in the game, which just makes it an extra cool tie-in. And Matt Fuller at PSA helped me squeeze both of those onto one slab. So yeah, I have those. And one of the sets, my favorite like degree of difficulty accomplishment in grading with PSA is that I have one exact seat where I got 10s on all four of the four biggest moments, which is Jeremy Lin comes off the bench, Jeremy Lin's first start, 38 in the Garden, and then his final game with the Knicks where Linsanity ended. So I got all four of those from the exact same seat, all PSA 10, which is kind of a neat set. I could never break that up.
Yeah, no, for sure. So it was very cool. I'm glad that we talked because I actually took a little bit of time last night and watched it, and it was definitely worth the 40 or so minutes. So if anyone has HBO Max, it's running. So we've been talking for a while. I like to try to keep these condensed to kind of like under a half hour. You ready, Doug, to run the gauntlet with me?
Let's do it.
All right. So stub or full?
Stub.
Why?
I'm a stub guy.
Yeah.
I like the idea of it being used. Now, some things I've said conflict with that, but in the scan era, there is no stub. It's just like pretty much the same thing. But in general, I like the idea. I don't mind a little patina on it. If it, that doesn't bother me. As I don't love a like giant crease, but otherwise a little bit used, especially if it's just part of a set I'm collecting and not something I'm worried about where it ranks and who has it. Like all those Pittsburgh title clinchers, I don't care what that thing looks like. I just want to be able to say I have it. Couldn't care less. So I would definitely, for that 1909 ticket, if someone found like an unused one, that wouldn't interest me as much as one that somebody like wrote the score on the back. Like I'd actually like that more because I knew that was in the stadium and held by someone who enjoyed that game.
Agree. Very cool. PSA, Beckett, or no slap?
PSA all the way.
Well, you've been pumping Matt Fuller, so of course, why not? And Matt's a very good dude. So debuts or moments?
Moments, 100%.
Signed tickets or unsigned tickets?
I'm an unsigned ticket guy, especially for something that I think is valuable or just extremely rare, like that Mario 5 goals, 5 ways ticket. If Mario was in front of me and said, do you want me to sign that? It'd be a really awkward situation because I would not. I just like, there's just so few of them. I just don't love the idea of it being touched. But like, there's a few exceptions. Like Kevin Youkilis is now a craft brewery owner and is regularly makes content about his owning a craft brewery. I saw someone in Boogers posted his debut in like perfect condition for $25. And I was like, you know what? I'm bound to run into him at like a craft beer conference someday. So I'm going to buy that. And I would totally get him to sign that because it cost me $25. But that Penguins ticket I'd been looking for years. I just like couldn't wrap my head around trying to get that signed, even by Mario. There's just something about it that's just, I don't know, it's the way I think. I think people that get tickets signed, I think that's cool. I think it's great. I would never argue with someone that they shouldn't like getting them signed. I just personally can't do it.
You need to find a second one of those Euclid debuts, get it slabbed, and give him one when you ask him to sign yours.
That's a good point.
He may not have one, and that would be really cool. PSA 10 ticket or PSA Pop 1 ticket?
PSA Pop 1.
Yeah. Mario Lemieux debut or Sidney Crosby debut?
Mario Lemieux debut. Mario did he did too much for Pittsburgh to not. He wins in pretty much every category for me, as much as I love Sid.
Would you trade your Mario 5 goals, 5 ways for a Mario Lemieux debut?
I would not. Wow. I think it's the better ticket. I think it looks better, and I think it's a neater accomplishment. I mean, nobody showed up that day knowing that Mario Lemieux was going to score 5 goals, 5 ways. And honestly, most people that were in the arena that day didn't realize that that's what he just did. It took like articles later being like, oh my gosh, was I at that game? That's right, he did do that. I was 6. So of course I didn't know what the heck happened, but I remembered that I was at that game. It was New Year's Eve.
Wow. Okay, Terry Bradshaw debut or Ben Roethlisberger debut?
Ben Roethlisberger debut, because I was there. I moved to DC in 2004, a month before this game. I met a fan of the Ravens. He was like, even though you like the Steelers, do you want to come to the opener with me? I said, sure, thinking I was going to watch Tommy Maddox. He gets hurt halfway through the game, then comes in. So that's a prize ticket of mine, mostly because I happen to be there.
Was the Immaculate Reception the correct call?
Yes.
Well, as a Pittsburgh guy, of course you're going to say that. It's easy. Is the famous 10-cent beer night ticket your favorite non-Pittsburgh ticket?
You know, it's part of a set that I've started not collecting because I have too many things I'm working on, but this is in my radar screen. I think it's got to be number 1, but I have been thinking about what could be number 2 and 3, so I'll share those real quick.
Sure.
To me, number 2 is Stone Cold Steve Austin driving the beer truck to the ring and hosing down Vince McMahon with beer.
I know that
and
one.
Then number 3, I have a lot of. I've came up with Sean from Talking Tickets helped me with this list. But number 3 we decided is the debut of Bernie the Brewer, and there's actually a good story. I know you probably want to cut this down soon, but there's actually a really good story behind how that came to be.
Really cool. That's Sean Doherty, man. That guy's got all kinds of information locked away in that head of his. So
Yeah.
glad he helped out. What's the most amount of beers you've ever drank in one sitting? Hey, you're a beer aficionado. I gotta ask
Uh,
that.
I'll tell one embarrassing story. One time, my friends and I in college had the stupidest idea ever to do not just a power hour, but a double power hour where you're taking like a shot of beer every minute, I think, and you play us. They make these playlists where you play one at a time. We did a double power hour, which was about 10 beers in way too short of a period of time. Then we went to our dining hall. I made a big plate of wings, and then I walked about 10 feet and then completely dropped the plate of wings all over the cafeteria floor at our college dining hall. So that's my one embarrassing story from probably the day I had the most beers was that day.
Well, thank you for running the gauntlet with me, Doug Veliky. Again, major kudos to you for really, I think, one of the greatest collective ticket experiences that we've all had last year at the National. I know you've told me you're going to be in Cleveland, and then you've got some kind of secret plans moving forward. We won't tell them here for the next 2 years of the National, which is Chicago and Chicago. So hopefully we'll get an opportunity to go back to Revolution. We talked a little bit about it. I don't want to give it away, Doug, but really just a great night. I think everyone who went to the National as a ticket collector points to the meetup at Revolution that you hosted as definitely the best event that we've been to, and certainly the highlight of 2023. So thank you from me, and thank you for doing that. I think I can say it for everyone that was there. So
the reason people like me fall in love with the beer and the beer industry is because beer brings people together. You know, the best beers are the ones enjoyed with your buddy, shooting the breeze, talking about something like ticket wish lists. You know, so this is like anybody in the beer industry. This is in our DNA. This is what we do. So as soon as I got connected into this group, this was a no-brainer to me. We have an amazing space. It's so flexible. We can block off areas, whatever the ticket community needs. Chicago people, if you ever want to have like a little meetup of just Chicago people for something small, happy to do that anytime. Hit me up. Howard, thank you so much for putting out more ticket content. We all need more. We want to hear these conversations because we're all nerding out on this. Thanks for bringing more people, helping us put faces to the name and voices to the name, and love this.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Doug. Again, drinking beers, talking tickets doesn't get any better than this. So thanks for being on, Doug. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Howard.
All right. Be well.